Whether you're interested in joining Faster Way to Fat Loss and finding this through a Google search, or you've been following along with my journey over the past couple of years as I've been sharing it on Instagram and just recently on the blog, and I'll put the link below where you can take a look at my amazing transformation over the past 2 years and where I started and where I am today, then today this interview is for you. I'm sitting down with my Faster Way to Fat Loss coach, Sandy Gravitt, and we talk all things macronutrients, tracking macronutrients, protein intake, strength training, why you should strength train and build muscle, cardio. We cover it all, even intermittent fasting in today's interview. I am so excited to bring you this interview and to answer so many of the questions that you all have been asking me about Faster Way to Fat Loss and my journey over the past 2 years. If you're new to me and to Live Simply, then let me share a little brief summary of my journey. So 2 years ago, I was frustrated and confused by weight gain despite my healthy eating habits. I'd been writing a real food blog for over 11 years. I'd been eating healthy, unprocessed food, and yet things took a serious turn in my mid to late 30s. Suddenly, I was gaining weight like never before, and I couldn't figure out what to do about it. I would see pictures and videos of myself and think like, who is this person? Like I didn't recognize myself. Plus I felt tired. I would have those afternoon energy slumps. I was blaming my hormones. I just didn't know where to turn. Well, after a lot of research, it seemed like the experts were all saying the same things: is prioritize protein, track your nutrient intake through macros, which is focusing on carbs, protein, and fats, and getting an appropriate amount for your body and what your body needs, and also strength training. The problem is that all sounded great, but I had no idea how to put all these pieces together and make it work for somebody like me, a busy mom working. Like, how in the world am I supposed to fit all this into my schedule? Well, that's when I found Faster Way to Fat Loss. And I honestly was very skeptical. I stalked Faster Way on social media for months and months. And I even tried macro counting on my own and doing YouTube workouts through strength training, but nothing seemed to work. So finally, at a point of desperation, I joined Faster Way to Fat Loss in December of 2021. And those first 6 weeks, I got custom macros from my coach. I learned about macro tracking. I started strength training and I fell in love. I didn't see like a huge transformation in those first weeks, but I saw enough progress that I decided to continue on. And now, after 2 years, I've lost over 20 pounds. I've gained amazing strength and muscle and dropped 6 to 8 pant sizes. And the best part, I've achieved all this by eating more. In fact, I eat around 22 to 2,300 calories a day now, prioritizing rest, and lifting weights 3 times a week. And none of this would have been possible without joining Faster Way, which is why I'm such a huge advocate for Faster Way to Fat Loss, because they package these things up and make them into this nice little package that people like us can follow when it comes to protein, macros, and strength training. And so today I'm excited to share with you my coach's wisdom, my coach in Faster Way, and have her share all about, everything that I get asked every day about macros, intermittent fasting, all those things. Now let's get to the interview with Sandy.
There we go. Okay. Well, Sandy, I am excited to have you here. Thank you for joining me. So you have been my coach now for what, like a year and a half, I want to say?
A year and a half now. I'm like, man, that flew by. Well, maybe in my eyes it did.
No, it did. So I started Faster Way like a little over 2 years ago, and then got through like the first 6 months, was doing great, experienced a ton of fat loss. And honestly, my concern within 6 months was I was losing too much weight and I was getting like too skinny. I didn't have this like toned look that I was going for because I didn't have enough muscle, honestly, which I later learned. And that's what I needed to prioritize at that point, was not just losing weight, but building some muscle. And so I turned to you as my coach, and man, like you have been through this entire process with me, and it's been fun to see not only like how my body's changed, but my mindset around building muscle, fat loss. The whole thing is just really exciting. So I think as women, this whole thing like confuses us because there's so much messaging out there. So I wanted to sit down with you. People have so many questions because I've been sharing my journey on social media, and to like kind of pick your brain as the expert. So start us off, like tell us how you came to Faster Way, your background as a coach, because that's what drew me to you was your expertise. So share that
Yeah.
whole background for us.
Okay. So, I'll try to make it fast. I started in the health and fitness industry on my own journey. Like I had no clue 20 years ago that this was going to be the trajectory of my life, my passion. But I got into the gym like many other women. I had children. I had never been that person who needed to lose weight or work out prior to children. So I didn't know what the heck to do. And I gained some weight. I felt uncomfortable. And so, like I said, I turned to the gym. Little by little, the gym changed my life. The way I felt about myself changed. My confidence changed. All these things that I had never experienced in my entire life. And I fell in love with strength training. That was not something that 20 years ago many women focused on. That was still the era of slim fast, lose all the weight. So it was a very just like new subject for women to be in the gym lifting weights. And through that, I completely transformed my body. Most people, if you see me now, they don't know my struggle 20 years ago. But I'm 5'2" for reference. So when I say this, it will sound differently to somebody who is 5'10", 6 feet tall, but I'm 5'2". I was a petite person and I was a size 12, which meant I probably weighed about 150 to 160 pounds on my frame. And yes, I was younger, so it is a lot easier when you're younger. If you're younger and watching this, start then. That will make all the difference in your journey. But I lost weight. I started building muscle and I just fell in love. And after, several years, I was like, this is what I want to do. I want to help women who were like me, laying in a pile of clothes, feeling miserable, nothing fits, comparing themselves to everybody that they see at that time was in magazines because there's no such thing as Facebook and Instagram and all of those things. But that's literally how I fell in love with strength training and fueling your body. And so I became a personal trainer. I would say like I've been doing this now for 16 years as a expert. So within 3 years of my journey, I was like, this is what I want to do. So I became a personal trainer. I've owned a business in home. I went to people's houses. I did all of that for years and years and years. Later in my journey, I started competing in fitness competitions, and that's really when I started to learn nutrition in a whole different manner. With that comes some body image issues and the way you look at food. And as I went through that journey, I realized my mindset around how I was eating, what I was doing was not healthy. So I turned to macros. I found macros, and that is literally what gave me freedom from food. So I've been training people on that now for 12 or 13 years. So when I found Faster Way, we had strength training. We had a focus on nutrition. It had a focus on macros. 3 of the things that completely changed my body, my mind, and the way I looked at food. And I had to try it. It incorporated intermittent fasting. I had never tried that before. And I was like, I'll give it a shot. Within 2 weeks in the program, I was sold. And I was like, this is the missing piece. It is a program that puts nutrition, fitness, and all of it in one package so you can follow and continue to meet your goals. And so I've been with Faster Way for 6 years as a coach. So that's a little bit.
That's what brought me to Faster Way as well. I didn't have the background that you have, but as I hosted the podcast and had a wellness website, like I was able to pick the brains of like top experts, and it seemed like everyone was pointing to the same things, right? Nutrition, strength training, protein. And I was like, okay, this is great. But like, these are really big theories to me. I don't know how to do these things in everyday life. And as I tell people, like, Faster Way is not some like magic weight loss thing or anything. Literally, all they're doing is taking the science of those things and putting it together in this like really nice package for everyday people, like, you know, like myself, who's busy, a mom, working. Like, I don't have time to like read a million books, figure this all out. I don't have the expertise to put it all together. And that's all they did is like put it together, tied it with a bow, and handed it to me in a way that I could easily follow, along with a coach to guide me like yourself. So I think that's what like makes Faster Way so unique. Which, speaking of, one of the questions I get is like, you know, people have tried everything out there, especially if you've wanted to lose weight in the past. I think people try Optavia, Beachbody, you name it. And then they see Faster Way come along and they're like, well, what makes this different? Like, why in the world is it going to work for me? I get messages all the time. I've literally tried it all. I've done boot camps, you name it. What makes Faster Way so different? Because honestly, that was part of my skepticism, is I felt like it was just like another Beachbody program, just to like pick on one, so to speak, because there's so many out there. So can you explain kind of what makes Faster Way a little bit different?
So we focus on, and this is really what I try to focus on with my clients. We focus on small progress. We're not trying to lose 20 pounds in 6 weeks. We're not trying to completely change our bodies in 6 weeks. A lot of programs, and I'm not going to say names, only focus on one thing, and that is losing weight. The problem with just losing weight, when you focus on that too much, you are actually also burning muscle. And when you're burning muscle, especially over the age of 30, you are just ticking away at your metabolism. With every time you lose a little bit of muscle, you make it harder and harder for your metabolism to burn fat. Fat loss is actually what you want to focus on. I know people say, I want to lose weight, but what they're really saying is they want to lose fat. And in order to lose fat, you need to be fueling your body. It is, how I look at food is gas. If you don't put enough gas in your car, you're not going to get very far. And that is the same thing with your body. If you don't give it the fuel it needs, it's going to slow down your metabolism and make it very hard for you to burn fat. So that's what's different about Faster Way, is we do the nutrition. Beachbody is a lot of just workouts, HIIT workouts, where you're not actually building muscle. You are focused more on weight loss. And like I said, you're going to start losing that muscle. So we focus on fat loss. It's the slower process, but is the process that is going to be maintainable for longer than the 6 weeks, longer than the 12 weeks, and through the rest of your life. Like Kristin, I mean, she just gets better and better and better as she goes. And that is because we have switched from just focusing on losing the weight to how do we keep it off and how do we just keep getting stronger.
Yeah, it's amazing to me. Like, my journey started because I wanted to lose weight, because I didn't know, right? Like, that's how a lot of us come to this.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I didn't understand like weight loss versus fat loss, the importance of building muscle. I didn't, and that's where the education of Faster Way really came into play. Was like, here, I thought I just wanted these like quick results, whereas I got this whole education, changed my mindset. Now, like entering 40 this year, I am so excited. I look better than I've ever looked in my entire life. Like, even Dustin the other night, he's like, oh my gosh, like it's incredible what you're building here, you know? I mean, and I feel like confident and excited. And anyway, it is pretty amazing, like when you have those like tools in your pocket, like how they can carry on to like a lifetime of success, so to speak, versus like this like quick fix type deal. So then if somebody like wants to get started, they're like, okay, I want to lose fat. I want to look like that, and not, you know, have this like toned body. Like, where do I even begin? Because that's where I was. And that's where Faster Way came in, you know, and helping me with that. But where would like somebody even like start the process of like maybe why they should jump into Faster Way, like where they're going to start with the process when they do join?
So, you know, how I look at each client is I look at their goals. So when you come into the Faster Way, I have a questionnaire that clients will fill out. So it's going to ask you those things. What is your goals? What are you looking to do? And based off of all that information that you put in, if it is fat loss, if it is weight loss, if it is just losing in general, you're going to start in a calorie deficit. And here's the thing. Calorie deficits do not mean 1,200 calories. Calorie deficits do not mean you're not eating carbs. So it is a slight calorie deficit so we can burn fat, but build muscle at the same time. When you are just getting started with your journey, you can build muscle and burn fat at the same time. You can kind of change your body composition. And that's what we focused on in the 6 weeks. As you go, you will see how Kristin has had to change her focus where, okay, she had that initial loss for those 6 months, but down the road, we have to change the focus so you can continue to make those progresses. But initially, when people come in, they want to lose weight. And so that's where we're going to start. We're going to start in a slight caloric deficit where you're not starving, where you still feel satisfied, but you're able to stay consistent because you're not eating 1,200 calories. The reason people struggle most often when they try to slash their calories and lose weight is they cut their calories too low. And they can maintain it for like 2 or 3 days, but then they get off track and they're like, oh my gosh, that cookie looks amazing. These chips look amazing. That ice cream looks amazing. And they eat it all. And then they've just taken themselves out of that caloric deficit. The way we're going to do it is we're going to focus on protein. So we're going to keep you satisfied. We're going to give you the carbs so you're not craving them all the time. And you are going to be able to stick to it much easier. And when you can do that, you can make progress a lot easier than continually starting over every 2 or 3 days because you have binged, you have gone off track, you've had a weekend, you've had a birthday, whatever the case may be. We teach you how to build that into your lifestyle so you can still live life. That's like the biggest thing is you still want to be able to enjoy those things. So I'm going to give you the tools and teach you how you can enjoy those things and make progress.
Yeah. And you know, it's crazy. Like the biggest thing that I found was the food freedom that comes from that. I know a lot of people are scared of like calorie deficits or macros, you know, counting their macronutrients and tracking food. There is so much freedom and it's really hard to explain to people. And
Yeah.
I thought I had a lot of food. I never felt like I struggled with like binge eating, or I thought I always had a healthy relationship with food. But honestly, I looked at food in a very like good and bad, morally, this moral compass kind of way. And now, like the other night, we've been on this like smash burger kick where once a week we make smash burgers. It's like this big family thing. The kids love it. It's so much fun. I ate fries, I ate the smash burger, and you know what? I'm done with my life. Like I know it fits within. I'm not scared. Like my body's gonna use that food, and it's like there's this incredibly healthy relationship now with food, and like even when I'm in a calorie deficit, it's not like starving myself. I don't know. It's really hard to explain, but it's become this beautiful relationship that I love.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I loved about macros too, is because it did the same thing for me. It gave me so much freedom. I mean, even somebody who was in the health and fitness industry and eating healthy, I was scared to eat too much fruit. I was scared to eat bread. I mean, I had a terrible relationship from that, you know, that mindset of I don't want to go back to the person that I was, and that person was eating the cookies and the ice cream and the bread, so I can't have it now. And so that's literally when I found macros, I was like, how can people not do this? Like people ask me all the time. am that person. I've been tracking macros, like I said, for 12 or 13 years now. I still track my macros. I don't find it hard. I don't find it complicated. I'm not spending 45 minutes trying to plan meals. The more you do it, it becomes like putting on your socks, putting on your watch. It's very easy with anything. When you start out, it's going to be a little bit different. You're going to have roadblocks. You're going to have challenges. You're not going to be perfect, but it's continuing the process. And that's literally how you learn it and how it just becomes so much more easy. And I think that's why it's so easy for you. I hear people say, I get sick of tracking. I get sick of burnt out, doing that. I feel like it's giving me a bad relationship with, looking at food. But if you look at it the way it's changing your mindset and the way you're consuming food, you actually will start enjoying it. And I don't have if one day I don't track, that's okay. If we're on vacation and it's not perfect, that's okay. Like, I'm not going to die, because now my eyes know this is about 140 grams of protein. This is about X amount of carbs. So am I short, over, or under? Yes. But you start training your eyeballs to really understand how much food you actually need. So you don't have to be so strict and strenuous all the time.
And I think that's where some of the freedom that I've experienced comes from, is like putting in the work to track. And like you said, like, now I know what, say, 140 grams of protein looks like roughly, because I spent that time. You spent that time like religiously tracking and like weighing and seeing as a visual. And so, like you said, like now, like we go to California in 3 weeks, we're going to spend a week there. I'm not going to track anything, but I'm going to focus on the protein. I know pretty much like roughly what like my 2,200 calorie like range looks like in a day, but it's because I did all that work of tracking for these years of building that foundation, that now, like, for a week, I might not hit that exactly, but I'm going to come pretty kind of close because of that work you put in initially that most people want to avoid. And that's where like the Faster Way app, like allowing me to have the macro tracker, having you to like help guide me with adjusting my macros, all of that has been so beneficial. And like, I think even now, like, there are days when I don't track, but I have a really good idea. And that's where the food freedom comes in. Is like, I know that if I say eat this particular food, that's not what makes you like fat, right? It's consuming too many calories than what your body needs. It's plain and simple. It's not that particular food, right? Some foods are going to have a super high calorie range and throw you off really fast and whatnot. But still, like, there's just so much freedom in all of this. It's hard to explain to people who haven't tracked before. So part of the tenet of Faster Way is like tracking macros, obviously, to hit your goal. Then the other tenet is this idea of strength training. Can you kind of talk about like what the Faster Way workouts look like, why strength training is such the emphasis of the program? Because that's one of the things I love about it. And when people are like, well, do you think you'll continue on like the month to month forever? And I was like, honestly, for the price, like, it's worth having, like, at this point, that's what I use the majority of the time, is just the workouts, because it's worth it just having my strength training program. So talk about like the Faster Way workouts.
So I will tell you, I was a personal trainer and a nutrition coach. I know how much I charged outside of the Faster Way. So when people mention the price, I'm like, if you went and tried to hire me outside of the Faster Way, you're going to probably spend 4 and 5 times the amount. So
I know, I looked into it. It was expensive. Oh my God.
Oh yeah. And so I will always have people say, well, that's expensive. Do you train outside the Faster Way? A, no, I don't. B, if I did, you would be charged a lot more. So what you get is literally everything that you need for a very reasonable price. But as far as strength training goes, I've already said it. Strength training is what you need to build muscle. If you are not building muscle, you are losing muscle. If you are over the age of 35, you will lose muscle with every year that goes on if you are not doing something to build your muscle. And so in the Faster Way, in the traditional layout, and I will change things for clients, as you move through the program. For instance, Kristin, she only does four days of strength training and 1 HIIT day. When we start out, everybody does 2 HIIT days and 3 strength training days. So there is so much research on, if you just did 3 days of strength training, how much muscle you can start to build in your body. And that is the foundation of the Faster Way, is 2 HIIT days and 3 strength training. And that is always customizable. The fabulous thing about Faster Way is you fit this into your life. You don't try to fit into Faster Way. So if there is things that have to be tweaked or adjusted, it is very easy to do so. But when you are focused on strength training, we have home workouts where Kristin has said that's where she started. And we have gym workouts, and that is where she has worked up to, is going to the gym. And I did see this question, and I wanted to address it in case we skip over it. Is somebody mentioned, do you have to eventually go to the gym? And I am very, very honest with people. If you don't have a home gym, like a home gym where you have the weights that your body needs in order to build muscle, will you continue to build muscle with 10 pounds? Zero chances. So you have 2 choices. You can invest in the equipment as you need, as you get stronger, and you can start building a nice little gym of all the dumbbells and everything that you need. Or you can then at some point feel like, I'm confident, I feel good, I'm ready to go to the gym. And then you can transition to doing the gym workouts. And like Kristin, she'll mix and match. I do the same thing. If I'm busy or I can't get to the gym, there might be days that I do some of the home workouts. But in tradition, like mostly I go to the gym because I don't have a squat rack. I don't have an Olympic bar. I don't have a hip thrust machine. So if your goal is to build muscle, you're going to have to invest in equipment as you get stronger, or B, you might have to look into going to the gym. But we have all the workouts that you need. So you don't have to feel like, well, I don't know what I'm supposed to do at the gym. I don't know how to use all these things, because you get it all laid out for you, and it is told to you exactly what to use and how to do it.
And that's what I love. I was thinking about that this morning. It's Monday. We're recording this. Literally this morning, I opened the app. I went in. I walked in the gym. I knew exactly what I needed to do based on the list there. But there's also videos. There was one thing I couldn't quite remember, like how to do, and I literally watched the form video. It was like 2 minutes of a form video. I got on. I did it. And I had people ask me all the time, like, "Oh, you must have had like experience in the gym." I was a gymnast growing up, but I had no gym experience. I we didn't lift weights as a gymnast, right? I was very active, but I had no strength training background in any way. I never lifted a dumbbell in my life, except for occasional like YouTube videos, which honestly didn't do anything because they were like the most random things I was doing.
Yeah.
And so I learned everything by the Faster Way workouts, literally just like putting my head down, showing up, doing them repetitively, the same exact moves, pretty much. They're programmed in different ways, but like it's pretty much the same moves over and over again that you're doing. And there's so much confidence that comes from that now I walk into the gym and I feel like I own that place. Like I realize a lot of people have no idea what they're doing in the gym, and I'm just like, oh yeah, I got it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
and that's literally what I love seeing in people, because that's like falling in love with the process, right? And when you fall in love with the process, you're not going to quit. If you love the way you're feeling, you love the way you are fueling your body, you love the way that you are looking and how confident you feel, you're not going to quit. And that's literally what I want to do as a coach, is I want to teach people to stop looking at like, I have to lose this weight. I always need to feel like I'm losing. If you can fall in love with the process and learn what you're gaining from it versus always trying to take away from it, you're going to change your life because you're never going to want to stop. It's not even going to be an option. Like, there's nothing in my mind that says I'm quitting this tomorrow because I don't like it anymore. Like, that's not even a thought in my head, because I love the way I feel at 40, almost 45 years old. Like, it's not just about what I look like anymore. It's literally how I feel. I feel like a badass when I walk into a gym and there is like 20-year-olds, and I'm lifting more weight than them, or whatever. Like, that just feels good to me, and I'm like, I couldn't imagine not doing that anymore.
Yes, yeah. In fact, a real quick side note, I was talking to a family member yesterday on the phone, and they're having a lot of issues. They're in their about 70, and they've never strength trained. I know that, they've lost muscle over the years, right? And all I could think is they're describing like all these surgeries they need and how they can't like lift anything. I thought, oh my gosh, like this is one of the reasons why I strength train. It started out as like this very aesthetic, like wanting to change the way my body looked. And now, like, I love the way my body looks, honestly. It's fabulous, but it's more than that too. Like, there are so many benefits. Like, I used to be so freaked out over my hormones that were out of balance. And if I just had slept, lifted some weights and ate, like, things kind of balanced out. I just was like looking for all these nitpicky things, but even like the strength aspect now as I age, knowing that I'm hoping that I don't have some of these same issues that this particular person was, like talking about, because I'm like, okay, like I'm focused on building that muscle, eating enough. And yes, it takes work, but it is so important. Okay. So I want to make sure we get through some questions real quick. Tell people, we got like 10 minutes left. Tell people, like, what is the benefit of working with you as a coach versus them just like trying to figure out their calorie deficit on their own, their macros on their own with a calculator, like trying to watch YouTube videos and strength train. Like, what is the benefit of going through Faster Way and working with you as a coach?
I have been in the fitness industry for 20, like I said, 19 years in some form, fashion, whether it be paying for it or doing it on my own. In 19 years, I have never not paid for accountability. Do you hear me? I pay Faster Way. I still have a coach that I answer to, that I will ask questions to. Accountability is humongous. You can go and you can just pull up some random calculator, but if you don't know how to put that information into that calculator, you are not going to get the right calories. You could easily be doing way more damage that you need to be doing. It is so much easier to have somebody to ask versus trying to figure it out on your own. People have done that for years and years and years, and they're still spinning their wheels. Like, if you did not just say, you know what, I need to get into this program, you probably would be in the same spot you were at 2 years ago, because it's so hard to do on your own. You will get in your head. You will think something's not working. The scale goes up one weekend, you panic and you lower your calories. When you have a coach that you could reach out to and be like, oh my God, the scale went up. What does that mean? And they can talk you off of the ledge. You are going to save so much more time, and you are going to take something off of your plate that you don't have to worry about. I would not get, I'm just going to use this for an example because it's all I can think of. I would not go and try to fix the engine on my car because I'm not a mechanic. I'm going to go take my car to the mechanic so the mechanic can fix it. And that's literally what you're doing when you're hiring a coach. And nope, not all coaches are the same. I will say that. I'm going to put that out there right now. They don't all have the same knowledge. They don't all have the same experience. They don't come to the Faster Way with the same expertise as others do. And so it is important when you are picking somebody that you pick somebody who can get you past 6 weeks, who can like Kristin was experiencing at her 6-month mark, where she was feeling hungrier, she was losing too much weight, she wasn't sleeping better, she felt like she was going backwards. You need somebody who knows what to do then, because anybody can teach you how to lose weight, but it's going to be how you keep it off and how you keep getting better and better that's going to make the biggest difference. But I will tell you, having somebody for accountability and just to make sure that you are on the right track is such a time saver, and it's such peace of mind.
100%. Yeah. I tried it all. I tried tracking macros on my own. I did YouTube workouts. I did it all. Honestly, I tried to piece it together because I did not want to pay. And now I'm like, people do it. It will literally change your life. Anyway.
And I will tell you, like,
yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say, like, if you asked her, like, do you miss that X amount of money that you invested into the program now? You don't even think about it. Like, you don't even think about it because you're like, I would have paid more because I feel so freaking good.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. And generally the people that I get like questions from who are frustrated are the ones who like are trying to do it on their own. And I'm like, listen, I promise you, just try it out. It's gonna work for you. So, okay, I want to get through. We got like 5 minutes real quick. So let's do some rapid fire as to questions that some readers have. We already touched on a lot. So first, big one I hear all the time, people, especially women, concerned about hormone health. Does Faster Way address like hormone health and unbalanced hormones?
Nutrition, exercise, and how you're fueling your body. That you would, like Kristin just mentioned, it's not always your hormones that are the problem. It is what you're trying to do to lose weight, to lose fat, that is causing the problems. So there are things. I am postmenopausal myself. Yes, at 44 years old, there is things that I've had to adjust and tweak for myself to feel good. For instance, because I'm sure people have asked this about fasting, I adjusted how long I fast because I found that I was not having as much energy. I was not feeling as good. So I did a little tweak to my intermittent fasting and I feel perfectly fine. So it's all about what you're doing that is going to help you balance your hormones. Whole food is a huge one. So, I mean, it literally will come down to exercise, how you're fueling your body. When you're not stressed out so much and you're sleeping a little bit better because you have more energy throughout the day and you're fueling your body, all of those things make a huge difference in your hormones. All of them. There's not this like magic pill that you're going to take that's going to fix your hormones, but it's all the little stepping stones and blocks that you're building in Faster Way that will help your hormones.
100%. Yeah, that's what I found. Somebody asked, can you talk about the Faster Way recommends not stepping on the scale? Like, why is that?
I think people need to have a healthy relationship with the scale. So in the beginning of it, because people are so focused on losing weight that if they don't see the scale just dropping, they feel like they are not making progress. When really, weight fluctuation is very normal and it's going to go like this. And if you can learn to go along and let it just fluctuate and not panic over stepping on the scale, because guess what? We introduced you to eating more carbs. Carbs are carbohydrates. It is water. So we really focused on that first 6 weeks of just getting used to the plan, getting used to the Faster Way, getting used to listening to how your body's feeling and not just using the scale as the one and only sole way that you're tracking your progress. I believe people need to have a healthy relationship with the scale because as you're moving on, the scale is data. And that's what I want to teach people is how to use the scale as data, not the end all be all. But weight loss does not mean fat loss. Fat loss does not mean weight loss. So you can lose fat without losing a single pound of weight. And so that's why we focus more on non-scale victories and just letting go of the scale, even if it's only for a little while till you have a better relationship with the scale.
The crazy thing is I weigh more today than I weighed at my leanest self back when I first came to you. Yet my body looks 100% better and different today than it
Yep.
did back then.
I'm
And I'm like
12
6 pounds
heavier.
heavier.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah.
I'm 12 pounds heavier. Actually, I'm probably 15 pounds heavier now than when I began my faster weight journey in 2018. So
Wow.
12 to 15 pounds heavier. But if you look at me, I look totally different and way better.
For sure. Yep. It's crazy. And now I jump on the scale and it doesn't dictate to me like how I feel. It's just like
I
you
don't
said, a
care.
data point that I could use for various
Yeah.
reasons.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so a lot of people have questions. They don't feel like they have enough time to do faster way, whether it's the strength training, the macro tracking. People are like, listen, I travel 3 days a week, wait, 3 days a week for work, or maybe I have like a bunch of kids. Like, can you talk about the time commitment and if you can do this even when you're busy?
Yeah. So you want to make the time. Like you have to start prioritizing yourself because it's going to make the biggest difference in your future down the road. Is it a time commitment in the beginning? Yes. Is it worth it? Yes. But you can do our workouts at a hotel. You can do them with bands. You can be more mindful of your nutrition. You can learn how to cook meals that your entire family will eat. So I'm not going to be that person who is going to be like, I have a busy schedule and I don't have the time. I'm going to tell you, you have to find the time. If you don't make the time, you're never going to do it. But you don't need to spend 2 hours in the gym. You don't need to spend an hour on the treadmill. You don't have to spend 7 days a week going to classes. You learn how to just focus on your nutrition, making progress, and getting better as you continue. And that's where I will say that the time commitment starts to decrease when you start understanding the principles a little bit easier, where it just comes to you more naturally. Like, yes, is tracking macros in the beginning going to be a time commitment? Yes. But the long run, the benefits are totally worth it and will pay off. But that's the great, like, you can take those workouts with you. You can take the tracker with you. You have all of these things at your fingertips. And we're not saying that you have to be perfect 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. There's going to be some leeway, but that's where you build a lifestyle, is learning how, again, to fit the program into your life, not you trying to take away things from your life to fit into the program.
I will say, like you said, I tell everybody that, like, it's going to take you time to learn how to track macros. Anything worthwhile takes time. And honestly, like, if you're desperate enough, you're going to want to take, like, I reached the point of desperation. I had tried it all and I was like, this is like the final thing. I'm just going to give it a shot. I'm going to go full on. I'm going to learn it. And I'm so glad that I did take the time to learn it, because like last year, as you know, it was the craziest year for us. Like, moved, I was single parenting most of the time, like working, driving back and forth to Miami, trying to house hunt, like competing against 50 million people to buy a house. I mean, it was just like living with my parents, converting our home to an Airbnb. It was like crazy year, right? And yet, like, because I had established that early on and taken a little bit of time to learn it, I was able to, even within the craziness of not having a home, not having a place to work out, like not cooking, having a kitchen to cook my own meals, I was still able to keep up with it. But it took a little bit of upfront learning to be able to create a lifestyle that, it, like you said, it got easier over time, because it was just this, like, these habits that I had formed.
It just becomes habit. Like, people always talk about, I'm just not motivated. I don't have motivation. Well, motivation will fail you at some point in your life. You're not going to be motivated. There's days I'm like, I'm not motivated to take my sweatpants off and go to the gym, but it's those habits that kick in that you're like, okay, I'm going to, like, I'm just going to do it.
For sure. Yep. Okay. So then people ask, let's see, a lot of questions about strength training. Somebody asked, is 2 days a week of full body strength enough to see results? They said, I love running. A lot of people love their cardio and they don't want to give up their cardio. And so can they like squeeze in some strength in there?
Absolutely. And that's one of the things, like with Fast Away, say you love running, but you also need to build muscle. And that's where I will come in as your nutrition coach. And I'm like, okay, if you're going to run, if you liked, it could be somebody who's running, 3 miles a week, or somebody who's like, I'm an ultra marathon runner and I run like 35 miles or whatever it is that they're running. Your nutrition needs to match your goals. If you are running and you are doing all of those things, but you're not fueling your body, you're not going to be at your best runner. I mean, like I will have runners who tell me like, since I've started Faster Way and I've started fueling my body, I am running things faster. I am finishing faster. I'm setting PRs. I don't feel as winded. I am not as sore. Yes, you can fit running into the Faster Way. It's the nutrition that we need to work on to make sure we are fueling your body appropriately for that. So did I answer that question? I thought it started with
makes a lot of sense. Yeah. No, that makes sense. I didn't even think about that. Okay. So then another person asked, I get this comment a lot. Like people may start in the Faster Way, do the workouts, and they're used to things like Orange Theory or boot camps where they're like constantly changing things up, or they like constantly feel sore, right? Or they're like out of breath and exhausted. But they're like, they're like, I don't feel that way with the Faster Way workouts, with like the strength training workouts. So like, what am I doing wrong? Is this not challenging enough? Do I need to add more? Like people think they need to add more because they don't feel like it's hard enough. Does that make sense? Like, what would you say to those people?
So the amount of calories you burn has zero to do with the progress you are making. The fact that you are sweating and you have mascara running down your face does not mean anything. You can wear a full face of makeup and do strength training and get better benefits out of it than if you were sopping wet hair, zapped energy from Orange Theory Fitness. So the calories you burned does not matter. I will tell people you're working out to build muscle, to build strength, not to burn calories, not to burn off what you ate. That's not what your workouts are for. You do not have to feel sore. When you're first starting working out, if you've never worked out before, you might feel sore. I don't get sore. I am never sore. I mean, there's hardly anything that I do that makes me sore, but that doesn't mean that I'm not getting a good workout. So people have to look at that as that's not a measure of a good workout. The other thing that I will say is if you don't find the Faster Way workouts challenging enough, then you need to add probably more weight. Maybe you're that person who you're shoulder pressing 15 pounds and you're like, I can do like 25 of those. Well, what if you put those 15 down and you grabbed a set of 20 and now you are like, okay, I'm like struggling now. So is it that you're not lifting heavy enough? Or is it B, you still have in your mind, you didn't burn enough calories, you're not sweating, you're not dying. Like that is not how you measure a good workout.
It's a huge mindset change for sure. It was for me. I was used to all of that kind of stuff, right? And and that's good. That muscle is going to, it's going to do more for you in the long run of like burning calories, right? Than like that like little cardio session. Cardio is great. Like I'll do HIIT because I want like the endurance. I feel good.
Cardio is for your endurance and for your heart. Strength training is to build muscle and your metabolism. If you want to be a better fat burner, sitting on your butt watching Netflix, eating ice cream, you better have muscle on your body because that is what's going to make that feasible, is having that muscle. So yes, do the cardio. 10,000. If you're that person, you're like, I don't like running. I don't like running either. I don't run. Somebody's chasing me with a knife or something's happening if I'm running. But there are people who love it. So your nutrition needs to be good, but cardio is not it. That is just not the end all be all. And those things that focus on high intensity all the time, that's not going to build muscle.
So along the lines of strength training, one of the things people, if they follow your Instagram, notice that you do some different workouts sometimes. And people always ask, why does Sandy not do the faster way workouts?
Okay, so that's funny. I'm in the gym. So I do look at our gym workouts and do our gym workouts, and I will even tell my clients, I have 6 or 7, I call them like my golden grail of things. So it's like squats, it's hip thrusters, it's pull-ups, it's chest presses, it's military presses, and I can't think of the other 2. But there are 6 things or 6 exercises that I will incorporate throughout my workout because I have different goals. When you have been doing something for 18, 19 years, what works for somebody who is just starting out in their fitness journey and somebody who has been doing it for 19 years is not going to be the same thing. So there are things that I incorporate. If you follow me, you know that I like working glutes because those suckers, they head south after a certain age if you are not building them. So that is truly a focus of mine. And this is also something people don't know. 10 years ago, I had a very severe back injury where it took me out from working out for months. I mean, so severe that I didn't even get out of bed for 2 weeks. And that right there changed my mind about how I can continue to strengthen my back. Glutes will strengthen your core and your back. And if you have back problems, you want a strong booty. So that is something I have really focused on probably in the last 4 years to make sure that I never end up in that spot again where my back was so injured that it was crippling. So I follow the gym workouts, but there are 6 things that I add in several times a week, and it can be just with the faster weight. Guess what that means? I probably work out 45 minutes to 55 minutes. So my workouts are not 2 hours long, but just incorporating those few extra things will add a little bit more to my workout.
And what people don't realize is the same basic moves you're doing or what we're doing if you follow faster way workouts, it's literally the same basic moves. There's not a special sauce that you're adding in or whatever, Yeah.
No, so we have our hip thrust or we have our deadlifts, and all I do is I just do them 1 extra time a week. So I'm just throwing them like little bonus pieces. And it could be just one of those exercises a day. So I'm following let's say I'm doing our total body Wednesday workout where we're focused on everything. That day I throw in some hip thrusters. So I'm just doing an extra set of hip thrusters. Or maybe I'm like, you know what? I'm doing my pull-ups today. So I'm doing that extra set of pull-ups. So it's I'm taking these 6 workouts or exercises and putting 1 or 2 in throughout my week. So it's not like I'm okay, I'm doing this totally different program over here trying, so yes.
Exactly. Yep. And what I tell people is in the beginning, follow it to the T, honestly, because you need that structure and it's going to teach you. Don't be trying to reinvent the wheel. That's what got you.
Have to. Yeah.
No, first of all, doing that in the past has not helped you. So follow something, give it structure. And then, like you said, I've started doing a little bit of that too, but I'm almost 2.5 years into this now where I finally feel a little confident in doing the same moves over and over again that I'm oh, I can add this in here and this in here and kind of change up my schedule a little. But if I had done that in the beginning, I would have been so confused. The program is designed in a very progressive way. Follow it, understand the structure, and then later on, if you want to tweak things.
It's
have
so
at
much
it.
easier. Like you have that knowledge or that like base where it's easy to tweak. But so many people are like, I mean, I hear it too. Like, this is not enough. This is not hard enough. Well, yes, you don't have to, it doesn't have to kill you to be working.
I walked out of the gym today and honestly, I didn't feel like I was dying. I mean, I like took a shower. I was great. I feel great. I feel energized. You know, like I don't feel like I'm like, oh my gosh, I need a nap or whatever. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Okay. So who would you say, there's so many questions about fasting. Can you just give us really quick, like why Faster Way decides to incorporate intermittent fasting and what people are like, can I have half and half during my fast? Can I do this during my fast? Like what exactly is just like fasting and why did they use it? And what should you be doing during that time period?
Okay. So I call it digestive rest, and it is truly beneficial. Like you don't, and this is, there are so many different like fasting protocols. I mean, from like people doing 20-hour fasts and only eating 4 hours. I will tell you, if you're my client, the first thing that you're going to hear out of my mouth is fuel is more important than fasting. So if you are somebody who has severely been under eating, we might have to adjust that fasting window. I might rather you learn how to fuel your body before you start trying to not eat enough. So again, we're going to tweak things as needed, but digestive rest is important. It is that time where your body is doing nothing. Like it's not working at digesting food. It can then work on other things and it's just a way to let food get out of your system and burn some fat a little bit. And it doesn't have to be extreme. Like I said, that is one thing, I will look at all of my clients, and it could be somebody that has pregnant people are not going to fast the same. Can you still fast? Yes, but it's probably going to be a lot lower than somebody else. Women who are in the brunt of menopause, that is going to have to change your fasting window. Somebody who runs, you're going to have to adjust your fasting window. So in the Faster Way, the general fast is that 16-hour of giving your body digestive rest and then eating for 8 hours. But there are so many middle grounds in between there that is also beneficial. So it's just looking at your lifestyle, your health. Do you have Hashimoto's? Do you have an autoimmune disease? So all of those things come into play when we are talking about fasting. Half and half, just in general, you want to keep things under 50 calories, have no fiber and no sugar. If whatever you're putting in your coffee meets those 3 criteria, it should be okay. If you are that person who has creamer or coffee with your creamer, you're going to have to tweak that a little bit, where you're going to have to back off some of the creamer. But for just basic, this is what we do. It is 50 calories, no fiber, no sugar, and then it should be okay.
And
then you have water.
Scares people. Yeah, it scares people so much. But I point out to people, like, everybody fasts. Like when you go to sleep at night, you are fasting probably for a good 6 to 9 hours. I don't know, whatever you're sleeping at night, you're naturally fasting. Like everybody is fasting. It's just that people get so scared because I think there's so many like hormone specialists out there talking about it and all sorts of things. And I'm like, listen, I intermittent fast usually for about 12 hours, and I literally eat dinner and I eat breakfast. I love breakfast. Nobody is going to take breakfast ever. Exactly.
I'm not giving up breakfast.
No, I love breakfast. It's like my biggest meal of the day, honestly, if people look.
Yeah.
And yeah, exactly. And I eat something before the gym and I work out in the morning. Like people just get really scared. And I think that's where like you as a coach has been so valuable to me, is being able to like customize and teach me how to take like the very fundamentals of Faster Way, which are solid and amazing in this beautifully laid out program, and then how to like customize it along the way. So okay, to wrap things up, so many questions. We could talk for hours, like literally, and some of them are like things that could be like that are really customized when you work with, yourself as a coach, that as a client that I can approach you about, like, how do I, like, how do I adjust this and all of this kind of, like, what's the perfect macro breakdown for fat loss, all of this kind of stuff, right? So if people want to work with you, like, where can they find you? How do they work with you? Like, explain real quick, like, what's the 6-week round, like, why they have to go through that first to work with you, like, how all that works.
So that in first 6 weeks, that's where you're going to lay the foundation. That is like the fundamental, where we're going to work out the kinks, where you're going to start understanding the protein and start understanding macros. That is like, I say that's like kindergarten. Like that's where we're learning and we're just doing all of the things and trying to figure out how it all works. But where you're really going to continue to make the progress is in VIP, is moving forward. I am not that person who is going to be like, yes, you're going to reach your goals in 6 weeks. Because I'm going to tell you right now, that's probably not going to happen. There's probably half a percentage of people who met their goals in 6 weeks. I mean, that's just an unfeasible thing. But in that initial 6 weeks, that is the foundation. That is where you learn about the intermittent fasting, the carb cycling, the dairy and the gluten, just all the pieces that you need to make it a lifestyle. And so you can, Kristin, if you're following Kristin, she has that link for her followers to use and register for me. When you use her link, you're going to get me as your coach. You can find me on Instagram, but that initial 6 weeks, you have to do it because you don't want to just sign up for VIP because it's the cheaper of the things. You have to do that. We want you to have that foundation. We want you to have that confidence and that understanding. And so that is why that 6 weeks is so important. That is where you're going to ask any and all of your questions. You're going to have your stumbling blocks. You're going to have really good days. You're going to have really bad days. But along the way, you're learning that foundation to keep going and to build your fitness and health lifestyle.
And as I've shared with you before, when I signed up for my first 6 weeks, I emailed Fasterway literally the day I signed up and said, cancel. I do not want to continue on after 6 weeks. Like, I am convinced this is not going to work. I literally found that email the other day. I was such a Karen. I mean, it sounds so bad. I was so mean. And I was just so skeptical. I was convinced this was not going to work. And I honestly almost tried it just to prove that it wasn't going to work. And then after those first 6 weeks, the education that I received was so valuable that honestly, I could have stopped and had this amazing education. And I did see, like, I saw transformation, but it wasn't anything like crazy, right? Like 2-year crazy, what I see today when I look at progress photos. But continuing on, it was such like this inexpensive price when I priced out like having to purchase a strength training program and all of this other stuff. I was like, it's a no-brainer to continue on. I get to the coach support. And obviously now I'm like almost 2.5 years in, and I'm like, it just has simplified my journey so much and put it on autopilot. And I love it. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Anyway. Well, thank you so much. I know we went like way over. There's so many questions. You have such a wealth of knowledge, and that's why I have loved having you as a coach and continue to rely on you because of that like amazing wealth of knowledge. So thank you for coming on.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me. And I hope that like that helps people. Like one of the last thing that I want to end with is I don't want people to look at this as like a weight loss plan. I want to transform people's minds and thinking of, I want to get stronger. I want to feel better. There's so much more out there when you start focusing on not just losing weight. When you actually just take, yes, that's a great thing. But it's the journey throughout the process that is going to transform your mind. And it's just, you have to give it time. I have so many people like Kristin who was like, I'm not doing this past 6 weeks. And those are the people who are the ones that are skeptical, the ones who are like, it didn't work. Well, I don't want it to work in 6 weeks, because if it works in 6 weeks, you're not going to sustain that at all. You want to be able to build onto that lifestyle so it will sustain.
100%. Yep. And I think that's probably where, and I could be wrong, like I'm not a coach, but the people who see the most success are the people who have that consistency of just like, they love the process. It's the day in and the day out. They're not just looking for some like quick results.
Yeah. Like, and, you know, I will share people's things at the 6 week mark, you know, if they send me pictures. But when you look at my account, you're going to see people who have been doing it for 8 months. You are going to see people like Kristin who have been doing it for 2 years, because I like to highlight what you can do down the road. Not you're like Kristin, she had good results in 6 weeks, but she had amazing results at 2 years. So those are the people that I tend to highlight and share, because that's literally, that is transforming somebody's life, not just this like quick, easy, here's what I did in 6 weeks and then I left. It is literally just transforms somebody's life.
And that speaks volumes, because it's so easy. Anybody can join any kind of weight loss program and like lose weight within a few weeks. I mean, just need a calorie deficit for that. But like, how do you continue on past that mark? Like, I want to see the people who have been at this 5 years, 10 years, like, and they look amazing and they're feeling great and they're 60 years old now and they got like, you know, this toned look. Like, those are the people I want to follow, honestly. It's not the people who just have these like quick results and then like gain it all back and like are in this constant diet cycle and have a horrible relationship with food and can't eat, can't go out with their families and enjoy treats. Like, yeah. And I think that's where you as a coach have been so transformative. It's taught me that lifestyle. And now I love it. And honestly, I just took progress photos yesterday and I'm like, oh my gosh, like,
Yeah.
like if I had quit within the first 6 to 8 weeks thinking I had reached some goal, I would not be where I'm at today. Not just in aesthetics, but like in the overall, like everything. Like you said, the mind transformation, the relationship with food transformation, the strength transformation. It's amazing for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.